Imagine this. You're drafted to the WNBA, and your team has high expectations for you and touts you as the future of the organization. Both fans and teams have visions of championships and full-fledged stadiums. But then let's look at reality. Injuries, the rough, inappropriate pairings, and sometimes unfulfilled promise can make for a spectacular fall. In today's latest edition, we will look at the 10 biggest WNBA draft busts of all time. Now let's take a closer look at some of the most anticipated prospects that never really delivered the goods. Sport is about such a possibility in draft. Year in and out, coaches and managers look for that special talent that would make all the difference in their team. However, there is time when the draft system fails in terms of making right selections. The WNBA has seen instances where players who were expected to perform big things, but unfortunately, they could not. Whether through injuries, lack of personal skill coaching, or even distractions away from the basketball court, these busts defined franchises and generally gave the fans a sour taste in their mouths. Here is my list of the top 10 biggest WNBA draft busts of all time. 10. LaToya Thomas of the Cleveland Rockers, 2003. Chosen first overall in the 2003 draft by the Cleveland Rockers, LaToya Thomas was an NCAA giant with 4 All-American titles. Inasmuch as she had a huge reputation when she joined, she never performed to the capacity expected of her. While in college, she showed much potential. However, when she got to the professional level, this lacked the sureness everyone expected. Her absence of significant body and her injuries contributed a lot to the fact that she could not adapt the style of the WNBA. Number 9. Amanda Zahuibi, Tulsa Shock. Source: Basketball Players by Year 2015. Amanda Zahuibi played in the University of Minnesota, chosen second in the draft by the Tulsa Shock in 2015. But as from her rookie year, she was in and out of the court for most of the time, demonstrating her problem. Although she had moments where she could have showcased her skills, she was far from deserving the second overall pick. In successive years, she turned into a journeyman in the league instead of a franchise player. 8. Jackie Jamelos of Minnesota Lynx. Source: Google search, date 2012. Here's the story about Jackie Jamelos. She is rather sad. But after suffering from knee problems in college, requiring several surgical operations, she was considered a much potential player given her scoring prowess and good vision of the court. Minnesota Lynx signed her, but injury issues followed her all through the season. But she was never really able to stay on the court long because her body could not endure the wear and tear, and she is now mostly known by her bad luck with her legs. 7. Tasha Humphrey, Detroit Shock, year 2008. Highly talented from college. Tasha Humphrey was predicted to be another power and skills pusher into the WNBA. The Detroit Shock selected her as the 11th overall pick in the 2008 draft, but she has been out of shape for most of her rookie year, thus was not productive for the team like she was in college. She did not last in WNBA long. She is one of the most regrettable draft busts in the history of WNBA. 6. Jamaica Scott, 2006 Sacramento Monarchs. Jamaica Scott, who was known for her defense and tenacity, was also selected in the expectation she will add that grain of sand that Monarchs lack: toughness. But she couldn't adapt to the rhythm of the WNBA and did not perform the same as she did in college basketball. Lack of injuries cut short her stay, and Sacramento had to look elsewhere for their help. Number 5. Elisa Welch, Chicago Sky, 2015. Elisa Welch was a dominant forward from South Carolina and entered the league with much fanfare. However, she struggled to find her place in the pros, as her skills in college didn't translate well against more elite talent. Her inability to adapt to the faster-paced game left her on the fringes of the WNBA, and her potential was never fully realized. 4. Angie Bjorklund, Chicago Sky, 2011. Known for her three-point shooting at the University of Tennessee, Angie Bjorklund was expected to be a sharpshooter in the league. The Chicago Sky took her with the 17th pick, hoping she'd provide a shooting boost. Unfortunately, she struggled with consistency and faced injury issues, leading to a short-lived WNBA career. 3. Chantel Anderson, Sacramento Monarchs. 2003, the Sacramento Monarchs took Chantel Anderson with the 2nd overall pick in 2003. A star at Vanderbilt, she was expected to be a dominant force in the WNBA. But injuries plagued her career from the start, and she never fully adapted to the physical demands of the league. Fans were left wondering what could have been if injuries hadn't derailed her journey. 2. Kelsey Bone. New York Liberty, 2013, drafted 5th overall by the New York Liberty, Kelsey Bone was seen as a skilled and powerful center who could control the paint. But her career never truly took off. Despite showing flashes of brilliance, Bone struggled with consistency and commitment. Her time in the WNBA was marred by underwhelming performances and team changes, ultimately failing to live up to the hype. 1. Latasha Byers. Sacramento Monarchs, 1997. Latasha Byers was a physically dominant forward, but her off-court issues and lack of focus overshadowed her talent. Selected by the Sacramento Monarchs, her potential was undeniable, yet her commitment to the game wasn't always there. Off-court troubles eventually ended her career prematurely, leaving her as one of the biggest busts in WNBA history. While each of these players had the potential to become WNBA legends, various factors kept them from realizing their full promise. The draft is always a gamble, and these stories remind us that talent alone doesn't guarantee success. It's a combination of hard work, health, mental fortitude, and a bit of luck. For every draft pick that turns into a superstar, there's one who just can't make it work. Whether it's injuries, off-court distractions, or an inability to adjust, these players are reminders that not every pick can be a home run. But every miss makes us appreciate the true WNBA greats even more. As we look back at these 10 draft picks, it's clear that the path from college basketball stardom to professional success in the WNBA is never guaranteed. Each of these players entered the league with high hopes and the promise of transforming franchises, filling stadiums, and becoming icons. They were the athletes fans thought could lead their teams to championships and solidify their places in basketball history. But as we've seen, the story doesn't always go as planned. For some, injuries were the culprit, repeated setbacks that disrupted their rhythm and chipped away at their potential. Others struggled to adapt to the faster pace and physical demands of the WNBA, where the talent pool is more concentrated and the margin for error is razor thin. Then, there are those whose careers were marked by off-court distractions or challenges that prevented them from maintaining the mental focus needed to compete at the highest level. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the biggest draft busts in WNBA history, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think was the biggest bust, or is there someone you would add to this list? Thank you for joining us on this journey, and stay tuned for more insights and stories from the world of sports.